about that? Catch me outside. How about that? Catch me outside.
How do the phases of the moon take place? During the lunar month, the moon goes through all of its phases. Just like Earth, half of the moon is lit by the sun, while the other half is in darkness. The phases we see result from the angle the moon makes with the sun as viewed from Earth. So, the phases of the moon. We're going to start with a new moon, because, it's a new moon. And it's going to go to full moon. But in between that, it's waxing crescent, first quarter moon, and the waxing gibbous. The waxing in front of the moon is meaning it's getting bigger as represented in the yellowish, whitish coloring. And then from the full moon right there to the new moon again, it's waning. It's the waning gibbous, the last quarter, and waning crescent. Waning meaning it's getting smaller, it's shrinking, it's going backwards. Our next question is, why do solar and lunar eclipses take place? Well, solar and lunar eclipses take place or happen when one celestial body passes through the shadow of another. A solar eclipse is a type of eclipse that occurs when the moon passes between the sun and the earth, and when the moon fully or partially blocks the sun. A lunar eclipse occurs when the moon passes directly behind the earth into its umbra. This can occur only when the sun, earth, and moon are aligned exactly, or very closely so, with the earth in the middle. This is a solar eclipse. As you can see, the order is the sun, then the moon, and then the earth. This represents a solar eclipse. Because the sun shines onto the moon, and the moon casts a shadow onto the earth. And that's what we call a solar eclipse, because the moon partially or completely blocks the sun from view. And this is the lunar eclipse. This is a lunar eclipse because the order is sun, earth, and then moon. As you can see, the sun shines onto the earth, which its shadow completely covers the moon. And our last question for today's video is, why do we always see the same side of the moon? Well, we always see the same side of the moon because the speed at which the moon rotates and makes a revolution are equal. If the moon didn't spin at all, then eventually it would show its far side to the earth while moving around our planet in orbit. This is an example of how you always see one side of the moon. Because when the moon circles around the earth, it is called a revolution. That one single revolution is 27 days, as written right there. And for the moon to rotate itself on its axis one time also takes 27 days. So that's why we only see one side of the moon. Like I was saying before, this is an example of how the moon rotates and makes one revolution around the earth. But, just an example, these lines right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, represent invisible strings, because we only see one side of the moon, and that's like having an invisible string attached to the earth and the moon. Because the way the moon rotates and revolves around the earth is like there's an invisible string attached to it. And that is it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like, share with your friends, and subscribe. Peace out.
I just wanna rollie with a dapper